Right, Gemma.
Good
Sorry.
evening and welcome to councillors, officers and those present online and to the residents who are here tonight. I hereby declare the full council meeting of Wayne Town Council on Wednesday the 30th of July 2025 open. Apologies for absence.
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have apologies from Councillor Bell, Councillor Furman and Councillor Orell.
Thank you very much. And as previously agreed, I will propose and Deputy Chairman Councillor Taylor will second. All those in favour? Thank you. To receive any declarations of interest, there's been no pre-notified declarations. Does anybody wish to declare an interest in anything tonight? Thank you. The minutes of the last meeting, has anybody got any comments on the minutes of the last meeting? Right, the officer's recommendation is that members approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 25th of June 2025 as a true and accurate record and agree that they may be signed as such. And again, as previously agreed, I would like to propose, Councillor Taylor, you have a second, thank you. Everyone, can we vote on that, please? Thank you.
No, the rest I didn't. So you were really voting for.
Yes, sorry. Right, it now comes to my mayor's announcements. I'm delighted to begin my announcements by congratulating the Green Spaces Officer, Paul Bird, and his amazing team of gardeners on being awarded this year, not 2, but 3 green flags. Radical Park and Gardens have been awarded the prestigious Green Flag Award for the first time, while both Greenhill Gardens and Sandford Gardens have retained the award for another year running. The Friends groups for each garden should also receive our gratitude for all the work they've undertaken to make these 3 gardens such a delight to visit. The gardens are 3 of 2,250 in the UK to achieve this award, which is the International Quality Mark for Parks and Green Spaces. Since our last full council meeting, I've continued to have a full diary of visits and thank the groups and organisations for their warm welcome and hospitality. I started by judging the scarecrow competition at Upwake Open Gardens and attended the opening of the Weymouth Museum's pop-up shop in the town. I also much enjoyed visiting 3 local schools, opening the Conifers School Fete, which was great fun, presenting the awards at White Regis Junior School and also at All Saints Academy. I much enjoyed attending Weymouth Drama Club's performance of Abigail's Party. I joined with other town mayors across the county at the Mayor of Chickerell Civic Day, which included a visit to the beautiful church of St Mary's and learning about its history. I attended the Veterans Hub in White when they signed their Veterans Covenant, and last weekend I unveiled a plaque at White Regis Horticultural Society in Rylands Lane to commemorate their 100th anniversary. On Sunday, I took part in the blessing of the RNLI's 3 lifeboats and congratulating the Lions and Lesses that we heard halfway through the prayers that they've won. And this week I joined Friends in Radical Park Gardens at one of their free activities, which they're organising during the coming weeks. Finally, earlier today, I had the opportunity to be welcomed aboard the Neo Santa Maria, which is docked in the harbour. And I would like to urge any of you who haven't yet been on board to do so. It's really interesting and a unique opportunity for our visitors. And I'd like to finish by also thanking Councillor Thomas Taylor for attending the events on my behalf while I was away on holiday. Thank you, Councillor. That ends my quiz. Right, public questions. Before we start with public questions, I would like to ask the town clerk to read out an update on the Greenhill raft situation, which is also being put up on the screen. Please.
Thank you, Chair. So the update is under agenda. Councillors, it's the first item on item 12, information items. Following the unexpected and unplanned removal of the rafts from Greenhill Beach following updated guidance from the RNLI and withdrawal of lifeguarding cover, officers have been working with councillors and partners to resolve the situation and return the swimming rafts as soon as possible. The council needed to take emergency action to deal with the urgent health and safety issues raised by the RNLI to preserve the health and safety of beach users and protect the public purse from costly legal action. Officers have met with the RNLI and both organisations are now shifting their energy to getting the rafts back out in the sea as soon as possible. This is unlikely to be for this year as the rafts are only deployed for 6 weeks and we are over 2 weeks. I think we're actually at 3 weeks now. We're 3 weeks into that already. Addressing the risks raised by the RNLI following previous beach tragedies has not proved easy. Finding ways to ensure that the council can address the problems raised to a level where swimming rafts have become an insurable asset once again is proving extremely challenging. We're speaking to other health and safety and lifeguarding providers, other raft operators, raft retailers and industry experts to determine how we can ensure our risk assessments deal with the considerations sent to us in July and get the rafts back out as soon as possible. We have looked into suggestions from the public that signage is enough to mitigate the risks, but this is not a measure that will remove the council's legal health and safety responsibilities or stop anyone taking legal action in the event of a tragic accident. Signs are not an acceptable measure to enable swimming rafts to become insurable again. People enter the sea at many different points all along the coast. They may not notice the signs, they may not be able to read the signs, or they may choose to ignore the signs. The BBC reported in June this year that an assistant coroner speaking about the death of a young person in the sea at Port Talbot said that he had seen no evidence that other measures put in place, such as clearer signs, were working effectively to reduce the risk. The council must manage the legal health and safety requirements of providing swimming rafts for 3 main reasons. They're a man-made feature put into the sea by the council for the purposes of recreation. They are not a natural feature like the sea itself, the beach or rocks. So the council has a duty to manage them in line with legal health and safety requirements or risk prosecution. The council is unable to self-insure the rafts. Now, self-insure means that the council agrees to underwrite all costs that would usually be covered by insurance, such as replacement costs in the event of damage, or legal and compensation costs in the event of injury or death, with compensation awards for life-changing brain injuries currently being seen at £45 million level per instance. The council cannot underwrite this level of risk. It does not have the funds. And the council has a moral, ethical and legal duty actually not to take risks with people's lives and to provide a safe resort offer. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Right, Honorary Alderman Christine James wishes to speak, so would you like to come forward, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, thank you, councillors. Would it be possible for me to have a copy of that statement, because it would help if I'm allowed to have a copy of that?
It's on the public
It
agenda
is,
already
okay,
on the
because that would
website.
help to explain to some of the sea swimmers that I'm part of, because I've been sort of shoved forward as the person to speak on their behalf, so I don't know why. But I understand that you're all pretty angst about them being taken away and you want them back, and Tim, I know I meet him swimming on a regular basis up there, and he's explained some of the issues to me. I have taken the trouble to email the RNLI their support system, which is their head office, to pick up all the points that they've made. And I mean, I'm sure you don't need to be told that that one of them is they present a hazard to navigation and should be positioned with that in mind. Well, the navigation, we all know you've got channels for anyone to navigate if you're on anything like a motorised vehicle, a motorised boat, or a jet ski, so you shouldn't be around there anyway. And attracting people to swim beyond their abilities. Yes, I do get that, but most of the sea swimmers I know of will be sensible. They've got toe floats. There's always somebody around. When they're offshore, potential for swimmers to fail to reach or return the platforms. But again, that is your own ability, isn't it? And we're in that society now where everything is everybody else's fault. So, you know, if you can't do something, don't do it. But unfortunately, people are not always going to be like that. There are lots of points on here. The anchorage system may increase risk of entanglement. Well, I've never known anybody to swim underneath them and try and, you know, they know that they'd get entangled. So that would be, you know, a bit strange. Antisocial behaviour. Yeah, it depends what you call antisocial behaviour. If anyone's been down there of an evening or a morning or a day and they've seen the groups of kids on them, I can't say they're being antisocial, they're just jumping up, screaming, shouting, doing what kids do in the water. A bit about the blind spots, the shore-based lifeguards. Now, I don't know if any of you saw it, but last week, the day before they were both removed, there was a chap on the seafront, and he's written it clearly. He said at around 5:45, he was along the seafront on the Esplanade, and he saw a woman in water struggling to get a child out of the water, so he went in and helped. And then he said there was a lady on one of the pontoons, clearly waved to the lifeguard, and the lifeguard hadn't seen her, so he went over to the lifeguard and said, "There's somebody on the pontoon waving at you," and the lifeguard apparently said, "I thought they were waving at me." Who then got on his paddleboard to go out and help. Now, in my mind, was that the lifeguard not paying enough attention? Because I was actually cycling along there at the same time. I didn't see or hear any of this, but there were not that many people on the beach or in the water at that time. So the lifeguard, were they paying attention? I don't know. But he went on to say that he was then told by the lifeguard that the line of sight. Now, I've never heard that one. I don't know any of you that are local that have lived here a long time that have used the rafts over the years have ever been told about the line of sight. So I find that really odd.
Could you just wind up?
Okay, sorry, Madam Mayor. But anyway, just to say that I know that you're going to try and work and get them back. It would be a disappointment if we can't have something back this year. But you've got to think of the health for these rafts as well, and people swimming to them. But also I'd like to point out that I think more of a risk is the channel for the jet skis and the powered boats that come in on the other side of the groin that are down to the harbour master. And I've stood there as a swimmer and watched people swimming. There are more sea swimmers than ever, and I've watched people swimming and people on jet skis going backwards and forwards faster than they should do, not knowing what they should be doing or shouldn't be doing. I think that's more of a risk to people's safety. So maybe, please, can that be looked at as well and raised? I'd be really grateful. But on behalf of the swimmers, we would like our rafts back sooner rather than later, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to come back on a couple of points. The information we received from the RNLI was generic advice, not aimed specifically at Weymouth. So there may be elements in there that are not applicable or we need to look at in more depth to Weymouthize them. This was generic advice. And the channel for watercraft is something managed by the harbour master. And what we'll do is we'll inform the harbour master, but police can councillors and members of the public ensure that any concerns about the use of watercraft, jet skis, etc., is reported through as soon as possible, so that we can all work together to keep, Weymouth Bay as safe as we possibly can.
Would that be to you or to the harbour master?
So Weymouth Town, if I may, Chair, Weymouth Town Council doesn't have any jurisdiction over the harbour. That's Dorset Council, and the harbour master's contact details are available online, but we can supply those if you need them. Alderman Christine James.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, we now turn to councillor questions. I believe Councillor Hope that you would like to ask a question.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. My question was in relation to a update to the rafts, but I can see that's in the information items, and I think it's been adequately covered already. So there's no need to ask any further questions at this point.
Thank you. Are there any other councillor questions? Councillor Young.
Yeah, I did submit some written questions. Have council officers been in touch with other places that got rafts? Yes, okay. And with the harbour master, because what's the situation with the boys off Open Corner, which are not navigation, but they're put there by the harbour master. They're much more of a risk than the rafters. They're a lot further out.
That's what I know.
So how does the harbour master deal with that risk? They attract swimmers.
Yeah.
Many.
Madam Mayor. I'm unable to comment on a Dorset Council function and the decision making that the Harbour Master and Dorset Council go through. So those questions will need to be directed to Dorset Council and the Harbour Master themselves. We have no jurisdiction, management or input into the operations there.
Would it be possible to ask them?
If you could pop me an email through,
Okay.
yeah, but you're free to email the harbour master or talk to any of your colleagues on the council who are also Dorset councillors who may be able to assist you in that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Siri.
One question if I may. Thank you very much to the town clerk for producing such a thorough analysis of where we are with the rafts at the moment. If I may, the piece that's perhaps not covered is what is our most promising line of inquiry to try and get some raft cover back this year. I think it would be terribly important if we could, regardless of the fact that time is slipping away, but if we could somehow get the rafts back to the last 2 weeks or so, I think everyone would be extremely happy. And I wondered if we had any promising lines of inquiry. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have to say to manage expectations in the room and with the public, it is highly unlikely we're going to be able to find a solution within the next 3 weeks. We are talking to alternative lifeguarding providers, but obviously there's not a huge cache of fully trained lifeguards sitting around waiting to be called up. We're asking for quotes. We're looking at different rafts because one of the issues is it may be okay once we've got lifeguard cover there, but what about when we don't? And it's looking more and more like we're going to have to explore removable rafts that are deployed daily. We're talking to a couple of suppliers of inflatable rafts so that we can try and get something out. And we are looking to cost all of that up as soon as possible and get something back to you as soon as we possibly can. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Anybody else like to ask a question?
Sorry to interrupt you, I've got to say, but I've had children actually say to me that if they haven't got the rafts, they will jump off the rocks or the pleasure pier. And I know that comes from the Dorset Council and the Environment Agency, but I still think that needs to be taken on board. Sorry.
Thank you. Any other questions? Right, we'll move on to the next agenda item then. Updates from Dorset councillors. Any of our Dorset councillors like to give us an update? Councillor Clifford.
It must be that we've seen the news after the last few days, and seen the considerable amount of reporting that's taken place about failings at Dorset Council. This does, of course, involve failings in assessing buildings in Weymouth and our Weymouth Town Council area. It's frankly 20 months of appalling behaviour from private sector staff, council staff, senior officers that has been uncovered. It's really shocking to everyone who's looked into the detail of this. It's been ongoing for a good 18 to 20 months. I would say that the figures in the press of 13 million are nowhere near the mark. That's just the current spending level. It's considerably more than that when you take in all the work that's continued over the past year. What I would say is big questions still remain, and as I mentioned, Weymouth buildings are involved in this shocking behaviour. One of the biggest questions is how did we get here in the first place? So are our buildings, or have they been safe for the last 3 to 4 years before the checks were finally carried out? And that is a report that I've asked to be started, and we'll be able to report back both to this council but also to the public in due course. For 20 months, there was no challenge. Within a month of having a new cabinet, challenge was in place and officers were starting to effectively come clean. And I think it's an indictment on us all, of officers, staff, senior leaders and senior directors of the council, from the very top, and all us politicians, that we have to be more challenging and more questioning in all the works that go on at any council. And I'll be happy to report back once we have more, but there are more reports to come, more investigations to take place, and I think you probably saw from today that the police investigations as well, so hopefully there'll be some consequences.
Thank you, Councillor Clifford. Councillor O'Leary.
Yes, thank you very much. Obviously, last meeting, I just brought up the issue of tip booking systems. I'm very pleased that we can say that Weymouth won't be part of the system that are being rolled out. Obviously, Dorchester will be, which does raise some concerns that people from Dorchester who don't want to book will come down south, as it were, to use our tip. And it's something we have to keep an eye on, because I think it will be detrimental to the town. So it's something that we as a town council, who we weren't consulted on when it was introduced or effectively introduced, need to be wary and aware of.
Councillor Ryan, sorry, Councillor Hove.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. For clarity, and you're watching this back, Councillor Ryan, I'm the ward member for Weston on Dorset Council, and cabinet member for customer culture community engagement. And it's just to say those members from this council who are on DPTC as our representatives, and the town clerk will also be aware, work has begun in discussions around area boards and forums, and work is underway on how we can work better with our town and parishes across Dorset. Within those scopes of work, there's also room for devolution down to town and parishes. A lot of town and parishes are across the county, and I'm sure there's some services that we recognise here in Weymouth that we feel we could do better at a local level and reflects the pride in our place better than Dorset Council's doing. So those conversations are continuing. I know our town clerk here at Weymouth Town Council and a representative of DAPTC have been involved in at least 2 workshops today, and there'll be more discussions going forward. But hopefully this council will start to see some opportunities for services that we could deliver to tailor Weymouth and deliver better to promote our town across the whole of Dorset, and that's your advice.
Thank you, Councillor. Anybody else? So we're delighted to welcome tonight Councillor Claire Sutton, who would like to address us, so please come forward.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Hello everyone, Councillor Claire Sutton, Dorset Councillor Claire Sutton, Bromwell and White Ward, and I'm Cabinet Member for Children's Services, Education and Skills. So I thought I'd just say a few words about Children's Services with pertinence to Weymouth there. Not very much, but that sort of opens the door. So if you've got any further issues you'd like to raise with me about local education issues, then you know where to come. So first of all, our schools. So some of you will know that Dorset Council has a school improvement team. Obviously we're working with our maintained schools, but also with our multi-academy trust schools. And a key focus recently has been improving Key Stage 2 outcomes. And that's been successful. So with results just in from the past academic year, all the maintained primary schools in we call it Chesil, but it's Weymouth and Portland. I think you probably know that.
So it's Key Stage 2, 11-year-olds, so then the primary.
Yeah, 7 to 11 is the period. Yeah, so those are up across the board. Maths improved by 3%, reading was up 1%, writing was actually down 2%. So on balance, it's an up, but our key focus has been on maths. So I guess now it's going to need to switch back to reading effectively. And another key thing is narrowing the attainment gap between disadvantaged children and the rest of the cohort. And in 5 of the 7 maintained primary schools in Chesil, in Weymouth and Portland, that has taken place in the last academic year. Quickly, I don't know how many of you were aware of Chesil Pride that took place in Weymouth on the 28th of June. I don't know if any of you there. You were there. I went along. It was fantastic. The atmosphere was really lovely. I'm told there were 270 children and young people there, as well as lots of adults. And I was also really pleased that my director of Children's Services, Paul Dempsey, who actually lives just outside Dorset, he came all the way down with his wife to join us for the day. So that was lovely. My screen's gone now, so I'll just have to remember the last bit. It's about the Pineapple Project. I don't know how many of you are aware of the Pineapple Project. It's about promoting the safety of girls and young women outside the home. Okay, and this started in Weymouth. It is progressively being rolled out across the county, interestingly, firework nights are one of the nights when our young women and girls feel the least safe. So for example, the Pineapple Project will have a presence on the seafront then. They also do lots of other pop-up things, and they're also recruiting community guardians who could be somebody that works in a local chip shop, a taxi driver, whatever, and they are made known, and obviously all the safeguarding in place, but made known to young women that there is a place to go if you're out and about and you're not feeling very safe. So I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Thank you very much indeed, councillor Sutton. Right, so we now move on to agenda item 9, and can I ask Ian Milner to take us through the three points?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is the Q1 financial report for the current financial year. As we always say at this time, it's not the easiest time to predict any accurate outturn figures at this stage because we're still to go through the summer season. But what we do know at this stage is we're projecting an underspend, which is in the main due to the interest which we are earning, which we do not normally budget for in case the interest rates go down, and then we'd have to find savings, and also because of the vacancies which we have in our departments at the moment, primarily around the project officers and green spaces. It was raised at the finance and governance meeting how these unspends, which seem to be reoccurring in terms of salaries, are going to be addressed. And we will be looking at that as part of the budget setting process for 2026-27 financial year, and we would welcome challenge from all members in that process when we go through it, when we come back after the summer recess. So there's not too much to bring towards before council at this present moment stage, but it is a good time to just get budgets back out there into people's thinking, so that when we come back in September and we start the work through the budget working group, and we would like to have a bit more wider involvement of councillors this year as well, and then we can sort of bring this information into that process.
Thank you very much. I did want to ask a question. That was one of the few reasons for asking to speak, but Deputy Counterpart has already covered that, which comes as a very little surprise regarding the amending how we report some of the budget lines, especially regarding to Green Spaces team. Second point may be simply that we did review this at Finance and Governance last week and have to recommend it to the rest of the council. Thank you. So I'd be happy to propose.
Anybody else like to make any comments or ask a question? Councillor Clifford?
Yes, a quick comment, doesn't necessarily need an answer now, but we appear to have proportionately a very high level of reserves compared to what CIPFA would recommend. And I wonder at some stage whether F&G might want to discuss alongside what an appropriate level might be. There's prudence and there's over prudence, and it feels like we may be on the wrong side of it now.
A question which is been asked before, Councillor Clifford. So the prudent level of reserves, the guidance which we need to adhere to states that it should be between a quarter of a year and a whole year's worth of precept that needs to be set aside as part of the prudent level of reserves, and that depends on the size of the organisation. So you'll see within the reserves, there's 900,000 set aside, which I agree looks a very large sum, but it's in line with the guidance which we need to adhere to, and the auditors look at. The other reserves is something which has been raised, I think it was by Councillor Pope, I think, or is it not, around the reserves which we have, and that will form part of the work of the Finance and Governance Committee to ensure that we make sure that those reserves are fit for purpose, and if they need to be realigned or put to other purposes that they were originally put to, then we can do that at that stage.
Anybody else like to ask a question? Thank you. So therefore, the recommendation is that councillors note the Q1 budget monitoring report and reserve summary for the period ending 30th of June 2025. Councillor Sybil has proposed. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Weller, thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Right, so we now move on to the Ironman host venue agreement. May I ask the town clerk to introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I shan't go through in too much detail, but I did want to reassure councillors, following some, comments we've seen online and in the press, that, this is, happens every year, every 3 years? Every year. Thank you, councillor Weller. It happens every year and it just ensures that all parties, so Ironman themselves, us as the town council and Dorset Council, have an agreed shared understanding of what each party's role is in delivering Ironman. It doesn't come to you for the opportunity to make any major decisions. It is just a refreshed annual agreement. It is nothing more than that. And the recommendation in front of you tonight is that agreement is sealed at this meeting.
Does anybody have any comments or I want to ask questions? Councillor Weller.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I will stand up, but I always insist that people should. I'd like to congratulate our, there we go. I'd like to congratulate our staff on the negotiations. I know you did that with Dorset Council, but it does look as though we've kept a highly prestigious event in Weymouth for another 3 years at absolutely minimal cost to ourselves, but maximum impact to both our residences and local businesses and to the general kudos across the country and the world on this event. So well done to all of you, and I would be happy to endorse this.
Anybody else like to make any comment? Councillor Hope.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I just want to make a point again, in the hope that it's picked up, that we need to recognise that we are setting a precedent every year that we allow Ironman to use our land free of charge. Now, I'm not putting away from the fact that Ironman is a great event for our town, not only for the weekend that it's on, but for weeks before, the months before that the athletes come down to train. But we are a big organisation that's quite cash rich. Waiving fees such as hiring the land of the beach, whilst we charge some of our small charities those fees. So it's more of a notice that I will be moving a motion to next council for us to review those fees and charges for our small charities. Obviously, at this point, declaring an interest as a trustee and events organiser of not-for-profit charity-run events. But we are preferential treatment to a big organisation that's got a lot of money, while our small grassroots charities and events that are struggling to put on year by year are being charged by this council. So I think we need to, in line with our corporate priorities and strategies, promoting the town as an all-year event attraction with events all year round that benefit everyone, we need to review those fees and charges.
Thank you. Anybody else? Therefore, may I say that the Environmental and Services Committee recommendation is that the full council agree to proceed and seal the host venue agreement for 2026 to 2028 as detailed within the report and waivers the standard Weymouth Town Council event land hire fee. Do I have a proposer? Councillor Weller, a seconder? Councillor Sybil. Take a vote, please. All those in favour?
(20)
All those against?
None.
No abstentions?
2. It's carried, Madam Mayor.
We move on to agenda item 11, the new town hall task and finish group. I'll ask the town clerk to introduce the things.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Not too much to add to the report in front of you, but it was identified, it's been mentioned at several meetings in fact, but it was discussed at a recent council workshop on this council's priorities and projects for the coming year about current usage levels and the best use of space here in the new town hall. And it was suggested that a task and finish group, so not a full working group, but a task and finish group be set up to discuss options, generate ideas, think about how we make best use of this public building for the council, for our communities. The group's remit will just be to discuss the options. Officers will then take those forward, cost them, consult on them, and will bring a report back to the most appropriate meeting. It depends what those ideas and those considerations are, how it moves forward. So it's just to agree the membership of anyone who would like to be involved in that task and finish group, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
So would any councillors like to volunteer to go on the group? Councillor Dickinson? Councillor Weller? Sorry, you'd like to speak to it? All right, so do you want to do that before we get the volunteers?
Whichever order you'd like to take.
Right, well, let's carry on with what they were doing that. So we've got Councillor Peter Dickinson, sorry,
Just making sure we get the right council.
Councillor Peter Dickinson, Councillor Weller, and then have we got somebody from City Councillor Cyril?
Yes.
Cyril?
Yes.
And have we got a member of there? So we've got one from each party, so that didn't come from Councillor Top. That's 4 people. So yes, Councillor Holy.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I'm just wondering if the scope of work is actually defined or whether or not there's room for alteration within this recommendation. Can I ask the town clerk to clarify, please?
If I may, Madam Mayor, this is purely a recommendation from officers, and if members would wish to talk about the scope of that group, that's absolutely fine, but the group has quite a wide remit in the first place, so could talk about sort of any considerations regarding this building. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, town clerk, for the clarity. Can I ask the working group look at if we actually need this building? We don't have a customer facing door here. We're in the middle of the town centre on a very high, I imagine, rent and business rates location. And I'm just wondering, where we have no customer facing from this building and it's an operational output from our staff, do we actually need a town centre building to be used as a town hall? And I'd like that to be included within the scope and review of the working group, please. Because I think that there could be cheaper options to this town council elsewhere in the town.
No, Madam Mayor. I'm more than happy for all aspects of this building's usage to be included in that task finish group and their discussions. Thank you.
Councillor Clifford?
Just to add to that, so we know that Dorset Council is looking for a strategic partnership for development in this area. When you look at the water side, we're surrounded with car parks, which is probably the most expensive real estate outside Bournemouth on the south coast, and we insist on parking cars on it. So there's going to be a huge amount of development opportunities coming, and it feels like this building is part of the discussion. So could I ask the task and finish group? I would love to be on it, but it's just too much of a conflict of interest for me. If they can look at opportunities within the discussions that are ongoing and quite advanced in some areas for development in this area.
Right, so if we look at the recommendation, please, if nobody else wishes to speak, is that the full council agrees membership of the new town board task and finish group. Do I have a proposal for that, please? Councillor Day and a seconder, Councillor O'Leary. So may we take a vote, please? All those in favour?
Is unanimous, Chair. Thank you.
All those against? Right, so it's unanimous, thank you. So we now move on to the information items. Greenhill Ross, I believe that we've already discussed all of that. So the actions. Sorry? Sorry. So the actions for previous meetings, we know those, and the Wayne Town Council forward plan, may we know those. So that the recommendation is that members be asked to vote on the information items I just mentioned. Sorry, Councillor Clifford.
We have got some new entrants into into the building in a room chair. My suspicion is they come in for the run.
Correct, together, that's operation.
Although we've been there, it does feel an opportunity for people to speak their mind if the chair is willing to allow them.
Yes, I think it's such an interesting subject which everybody is very keen to be involved with. We have actually already debated because the meeting started at 7.
Oh, I thought it was 1:30, but apologies.
Yeah, so, but as chair, I will allow that tonight. If everybody's in agreement with that. Thank you. So anybody, the town clerk just reminded me, if anybody wants to speak, we have a limit of 3 minutes, and I would ask you not to repeat things that somebody else has said, but more than happy if you want to say, I also agree with what's been said. I'm very happy for that. So would you like to, who would like?
I'd like to know what was said briefly, what the outcome was, as briefly as possible, and then we can move on.
Right, so town clerk, would you?
Happy to, Madam Mayor. So there is an update on the agenda, members, that I did read out earlier. It is up on the screen at the moment. I'm happy to read that out again if it would be helpful. There are also hard copies on the chairs of the information that was put out last Saturday, which covers the latest position. We did have one public questioner during public questions earlier on this agenda, who stated very passionately the case for the rafts. That was, I think, supported by everybody in the room, officers, councillors, members of the public included. And the person who did speak did also raise some interesting anecdotal evidence of people in difficulty around the rafts and some questions around lifeguarding. But all of our meetings are live streamed to YouTube, so you are able to watch those back. If you go to YouTube, type in Waverton Town Council, you can watch the beginning of the meeting there for exactly what was said. But there is an update, and this the council's agenda is available on the Town Council website. You can view that. This is all in the public, and you should have copies there of the additional information that we've most recently put out. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Would you like to speak?
Well, just to say.
Do you want to stand up, sir?
Yeah,
please, thank you. And just, could you say who you are, then I would be helpful.
Amanda Barnes, I live in Weymouth, and these young people are my grandchildren. They come on holiday each year, and going to the rafts really important to them. They're supervised by us. We don't rely on the lifeguards. We're quite aware that the lifeguards are there, but we feel that it's imperative that these young people have somewhere to go, and that's why we have turned up late. So unfortunately, I think that's what we wanted to say. Anybody want to add anything?
No, would you as young swimmers like to say something? Please feel free.
Most years when we come here, we've always loved going to the rafts. I feel like it's a bit of a shame this year that we haven't been able to. It's kind of like a morning routine as well, but that's kind of what we do very much. Yes.
No, we're really pleased that you have bothered to come down to
Yes,
this. And,
yeah.
I think that what we've heard tonight is that all of us really are concerned about the rafts going, and with the officers are doing all they possibly can to make sure that we can do something about this, something that is insurable, because we in this day and age where we live, we must make sure that if there is an accident in any way, the council is covered on this. But they're looking at, the town clerk is looking at all sorts of ideas, and we hope that we will come up with a solution which is insurable at a reasonable cost, so that perhaps next season, I don't think there's any chance this season has been said, but perhaps next season when you come down, that there might be something available, but we don't quite know what at the moment.
Doing all we can.
Yeah, we're doing all we can, because we do all feel exactly the same as you.
Yeah. Okay, so potentially what I think that I've noticed is this age group can't really cater for. We've got buckets and spades, we've got children, we've got all the little amusements,
that the priority for the beach must be that all age groups have access to enjoying the beach and of course safely. But the sea is inherently dangerous. And I think that being a seaside town, I think we understand that, but I think that's important.
Right, town clerk.
Yes, just on that, as was discussed earlier, and I'm desperately trying to find the right bit where we were talking about the difference between the rafts. Probably point one is the best one that makes it, that the rafts are a man-made feature. We do put those into the sea for the purposes of recreation, therefore we are responsible for the health and safety of those. They're not a natural feature like the sea itself or the beach or rocks. And so the council has a duty to manage the rafts in line with legal health and safety requirements, where the same level doesn't apply to naturally occurring things like the beach and the sea itself. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Harris.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to thank you for giving us another idea which was not mentioned earlier, so that's sad that you came along this evening. And that is the idea that a group maybe who have got responsibilities and therefore got their own insurance, if you like, may have something that they can offer. And we can look at that idea as well. So thank you for bringing that idea to us this evening.
Town clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor David Harris, leader of Wayne Town Council, for that. We are very keen to talk to any local groups or businesses who would like to explore operating the rafts with us. If any local groups are interested, please do come and talk to us. We would love to talk to what a group could bring to this problem solving. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for coming. Thank you. And I hope you will enjoy your holiday down here.
Yeah.
So we've done the information. So that is the close of the meeting. So at 7:45, I declare this meeting closed.